Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another Tech Talk session with me, your host from Tech Jobs Fair, Tripti Sinha. And today we are joined by a very special guest who promises to bring a spark to your professional path. So let's welcome Mr. Philip T. Angstman. And today we are very interested and excited to dive into a very exciting discussion topic, which is the first 100 days in a new job. And I guess that'll, of course, be an upgrade for your career. So, hi, Philip. How are you doing today?
Hey there, Tripti. Thank you very much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. Despite having a cold, I can't wait to share some game changing insights with this amazing audience we'll have today.
Thank you so much. So, guys, before we move forward, let me just introduce Philip very quickly. He is a personal branding expert with an MBA and certification in marketing and yoga. He has conducted over 10,000 interviews worldwide. His mission is to craft authenticity, ignite careers, and embrace joy through simplicity. He's passionate about speaking, learning, and sales. He helps individuals uncover their true calling with a unique blend of HR and marketing expertise. So, yeah, we are very, very thrilled and excited to have you with us today, Philip. But before we dive into the topic and our discussion already, I would like to take a moment and I would want you to uncover your journey for us so far and tell us how did you get here?
Yeah, as a graduated IT engineer, I ventured into the realm of tech recruitment, primarily focused on IT roles. This technical background has been instrumental in securing assignments as it fosters a sense of understanding and trust with clients. As you mentioned before, over nearly 2 decades, I've conducted around 10,000 interviews across various cultures and continents. This
Mhm.
knowledge and experience I'm about to put forward now, authoring a book called Job Interview Masterclass. Also, I help people to position themselves for enthusiastic careers. My individual one on one coaching sessions include positioning, job interview preparation, and potential discovering and unlocking. Additionally, I provide B2B HR trainings in recruitment and job interview preparations. And here I am.
That's really, really interesting. So, I believe your journey so far has been really amazing from the HR, team, and then now being one of the job coaches and helping people, uh, coming up front and interviewing with another HR. So, because you've been on the other side of the table, so I guess you're a perfect person who can guide the people who are on the other side, the job seekers, and tell them what HRs usually look for and all of that because you have the experience of that as well, right? So that's interesting. And so diving into our topic, which is very, very interesting to me personally as well, because we understand the probation period is where you are looked for your capabilities, your work, and all of your, I guess, how everything about you as a professional is checked on those 100 days of time that you have when you join a new organization, right? So what do people usually get wrong about the trial period at a new job?
Yeah, there are several misconceptions about the probation period. Many
Mhm.
newcomers view their initial employment phase as a battle for survival, aiming to secure their job and achieve permanent status. However,
Yeah.
it's crucial not to merely survive, but to actively shape your role, harboring a mindset of I must endure their evaluating me, shifts your focus and energy towards the company, causing you to lose sight of your own development. It kind of shall be always like a two-way test. It's not just the
Mhm.
company testing you, you're testing the company too. The probation period is the time to determine whether you can fully commit to your role. Everything less than your wholehearted effort is ultimately unproductive. this proverb like laugh it, change it, or leave it, meaning like embrace your position, seek to improve it, or consider moving on, is also here true. Yeah, holding out for a different opportunity within the company can be exhausting as well. If you're feeling worn out, you might find that the position you desire has been given to someone else. If you've been in your current role for too long without joy, you risk losing the inspiration and excitement that a new person might bring. So the thing, sometimes you hear it, yeah, that people say like, yeah, you have your leg in and then you can open more opportunities for you. Only if these opportunities coming late or taking too long and you're not loving what you're doing, it's not a good idea. If you're happy with what you're doing and you're looking to get development or growth within a company, this is a different case.
Yeah.
But if you don't like it, it's problematic. And I've seen it many times that people say like, okay, I don't prefer this tech anymore. I would love to have this other new tech stack, but I always wanted to work for this or this company. And afterwards, they drain down or get disillusioned. And in the end, if something pops up, they say, but how could it have been? I'm the perfect candidate. I even know internal procedures, but they took someone from outside.
Mm-hmm.
That's then the risk. And yeah, first of all, check if the company values align with yours and if entry promises hold true. So this preparation period is, or you can use it to learn, especially to learn, ask questions because you have this special status of being the new one and you're allowed to ask questions, you're allowed to have errors or mistakes in your results.
Right.
So it's about showing your attitude. No one hires the perfect candidate. It's a lot about the attitude. You anyway never can fully know why and what for you got hired. There is only one measurement in the end, how good you do what you do. How was it on day one? How is it on day 100? Do you have progress there?
Yeah.
And another thing what people often do not use, and then they're always after 6 months so surprised that people do not see anymore what they did recently, is like the positioning. Last but not least, it's also the phase where you position yourself. You have in your hands how others perceive you, positioning yourself as the guy that solves something they need or as the person that provides a service they love. And then this is in the mind of people and not like he was the new one or he was the new one that was late or the new one that was always at the coffee break or whatsoever.
Yeah, right. So having the impression is very, very important. And also, like you mentioned, it's not just the probation period for the employee, but it's also for the organization, because whether you fit in or not in that particular environment, right? If it's a good professional environment for you or not. I think people usually miss out on that because they think they try the best to fit in, they try their best so that, they get the permanent contract and then
Correct.
the a full-time employee thing, but then they miss out on a fact like after the third month, or let's say after 100 days, let's say another 150 days, they realize that maybe this is not the right environment for me, because
Correct.
they spend the 100 days impressing the organization and the managers, that they did not
Especially that
look
they
out for themselves, right?
correct.
That's really,
Correct.
that's, yeah, that's a good point that you mentioned, that it's 50-50 for both of them.
Correct. Correct. It's 50-50.
So Yeah, in which ways, I mean, that's how we've been seeing, and that's how things have been right now. Because whenever it's probation, it's more about employers giving their best, and trying to prove themselves that yeah, they are a good fit, and then they are, I think, all ready to be like a permanent employee at the organization. So why is it so important to make a good first impression at a job? And how can you actually so we all have done the introduction in the interview, right? But how do you usually introduce yourself at the first day at job?
Yeah, to leave a memorable first impression, craft perception. Your
Hmm.
initial introduction sets the stage for how colleagues will perceive you in the long term. This impression is sculptured through attitude, actions, and language. So
Hmm.
be memorable, especially to stakeholders, direct stakeholders. By being memorable, I mean prepare added value for different kind of stakeholders. It defines how future colleague perceives you. So be aware of what you want to put forward, or what service, what knowledge. Know where and how can you inspire. This can be an opener for networking. And if you provide something that might be fascinating for others, people start to talk to you and memorize yourself. They learn
Yeah.
about you. And also, as a strategy, and that's also something you can do before. And as you said, um, actually, you've done it also, or should have done it also in the during the interview process. Only normally, perhaps you did not meet everyone, and especially not all stakeholders. You met perhaps some people from the team, depending how long it was taking to
Yeah.
to assess you, or to make this decision who will be the perfect or shall be the candidate that we will want with us.
Hmm.
Prepare how you'll introduce yourself, both in person as via email. Some companies doing it by email, and it can even be, and that's why it's important to ask when signing the contract about the onboarding procedure, to know if there is something published even before you start. If so, take influence and provide text. A good strategy to do something like that is in person, as well as, of course, in text, like starting with a hello or good morning or whatsoever. Then your name, ensure that your name is stated distinctly so that everyone knows who you are. Describe your position within the company to help others understand your contribution to the team.
Yeah.
Highlight your expertise, so share the benefits, experiences, or achievements that underscore your qualification and what you offer. And then make a memorable impression. Include something unique about yourself that makes you easily memorable.
Hmm.
Um, a framework that's possible to use is the so-called I help to solve and achieve framework. It's a structure to clearly articulate how you can assist in resolving issues and attaining objectives. An example might go like this, for example, good morning, I'm Richard Mayer. I help forward thinking tech teams to solve complex challenges in web development and cloud integration and achieve innovative solutions, which I do with my expertise in full stack development, clean code practices, and problem solving. Additionally, my long term goal is to contribute to advancements in quantum computing, bridging the gap between theory and practical applications. This template provides a clear and structured way to introduce yourself and your professional services in a memorable and impactful way.
Right. That's a good point to be memorable and let people know out there when you have your introduction, I think, session when at the organization, that yeah, and then make them
Correct.
clear about
Because
what you do, and
yeah, because just saying hi, I'm John, I'm new is definitely not enough. Then I just think, aha, he's a new face, okay, and my thoughts are somewhere else.
yeah, right. So let's say now you join an organization and it's our first days, like let's say first month is over and we are in the second month, right? So after 30 days, and there are a few concerns that, as an employer, you are feeling and facing at the organization. And I believe, rather than holding it until your probation and then coming up to later, it might not make a lot of sense. So I guess we the new employees should speak up about their concerns really early. But how can they do it right without being, without having that negative impact on your professional career?
Yeah, so first of all, what you just mentioned, to collect it and then like having a bag and going in one third meeting and saying like, yeah, uh, being asked how you feel here or what's your impression, and then you bring up, yeah, I made some notes, and then you have like 15 or 20 points, and
Mhm.
the one who listens afterwards to you thinks like, okay, this or that he could have said already in the first few days or first weeks. Yeah.
Mhm.
So voicing concern sets the image others have about you. It's a chance to make changes or improvements in your favor, as you just said. And the earlier come up with it, the better. Many people hesitate due to misplaced embarrassment or hope that someone else will notice and address the issues for them or offer help, or seeing like, can it be you're struggling with this or that? Do you need some assistance or help or whatsoever? But most of the time, this is not going to happen. Um, Especially not in tech environment. When you're more in, and also not in sales or product management, there your colleagues have their own goals and their own focus. If you're in a service providing area where you have direct client contact, there it might be a little bit different because someone observes the things and knows it needs to be done a little bit different. Yeah. So speak up to shape your role, and also when you come too late with things that actually land on your desk because other colleagues think like, ah, finally you have a new one. This task I don't like. We just put it through to him, and it's off my table because it's I hated it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's also important to say no, to don't accept tasks that aren't yours. Just because, I mean, if it's certain tasks are sometimes like, depending on how big a company is, but if it's a smaller one, then you have one role and the second role, and there is something in between, and that can be a little bit more on your side or more on the other side. So if it's not taking more, then do we say like maximum 20% of your energy and time, it's okay, because this middle thing someone needs to do as well, or there need to be a third person. But in general, take responsibility for yourself and stand in for yourself. The manner in which you voice concerns can influence other perceptions of you as well. So opt for inquisitive dialogue, opening with a qualitative question over critical commentary. So just it's better to wrap it up, also suggestions into a question, because when you're the new one, sometimes you do not know what's behind a certain procedure or decision, why it is done like that. And then there is another thing. Companies often have a narrow perspective of certain processes and may not realize that alternative method exists. So long-standing systems and procedures sometimes go unquestioned even when they are outdated or inefficient. So business analysts may transfer processes from analog to digital or from the old to the new realm without considering whether the original limitations still apply. It's essential to challenge the status quo and propose enhancements where possible, and this is best done by putting it into constructive questions.
Right. So that was a good point that you mentioned. Usually people like the old employees, they'd be like, something they don't like, they're trying to give it to the new employee, and then, hey, you can do this. And the new employee trying to impress everyone, they say okay to everything, right? They're like, yeah, I can do it. I'll do
Correct,
it.
because Yeah, they just don't dare to say no because you're new. And afterwards, it's on your table, and you need to hope for someone else comes new and you can push it forward. But if that one then says no, it stays and sticks with you. So you're then the one who did it and took it. So
Yeah, yeah. We should definitely stick to the job roles that, comes in our offer letter. And if we have time, then yeah, we can say yes to other tasks as well. That's true.
correct.
Because you should know, what you will be doing at the organization beforehand, and you should be doing that and making progress in that particular areas and not doing other the XYZ task from any other people. That's true. That's and like I
Absolutely.
think the new employees should be able to stand up for themselves even though they are new in the organization, because if they're once, if they make that impression of being like, hey, he can do it, like if we just give it to him, he'll do it, he'll always be that person who will get like a piled up jobs and everything.
Absolutely. And also afterwards, if things land on your side and you actually know, I should have said no or I should have reacted, then the anger grows. But often people think it's the other side, but actually the anger grows against yourself because, or myself, because I was not
Yeah,
reacting or responding,
that's true, that's
and
really true.
that needs energy as well, yeah, and also
Yeah,
makes my joy for the other 80% or 70% smaller, because then out of a sudden the focus is like, shit, I should have reacted, I should have responded, or I should have said no, or I should have raised my voice, and I didn't do it.
right, right, that's true. It's very important to have that firm decision making skills, and out for yourself and knowing what you're doing when you're like have the probation period. That's very important. So let's say there might be few do's and don'ts, right, that an employee should have, I guess, in the first few months. They should not, according to me, like we should not like underperform or like overperform. Like, either way it's bad.
That's true.
Either way it's
That's
bad.
true because from my experience, I have also that if you're overperforming, I faced it a couple of times that then they actually denied this candidate in the end because they said he puts pressure on the team that they should also have that speed, or that
Yeah,
actually what they're doing is in a on a lower level. So actually, you should be tuck tuck tuck. So how can it be that I'm done with a 1 week's work in 2.5 days or even faster?
yeah. So what do you think, what are the do's and don'ts in like the first few months?
Yeah. So let's start first with the do's. It's of course trivial, and you think like, okay, this is for sure you should do it. But I faced it plenty of times that it very fast gets forgotten. Be on time and be reliable. Yeah, be on time in meetings. Be on time at work. Be reliable when you say I will do this or I will provide it to that and that time or a date. Do it, or be early enough and saying something came up or I need to extend this deadline or whatsoever.
Yeah.
Then another thing, um, we mentioned it before, yeah. Ask questions. You're the new one. You have now this bonus status that you are allowed to ask questions about everything.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be afraid to ask for clarity also. And as said before, just set boundaries. Learn to say no to tasks that don't align with your role. Focus on strengths, so concentrate on what you do best. And also understand expectations, so know tasks, how tasks should be done, especially regarding quality. Even if you come from a same role from another company, quality standards in company A and quality standards in company 2 might be on a different level,
Absolutely.
or done differently. And also important, and sometimes people avoid away a little bit from it, to embrace the unknown. So tackle new challenges early on, because often it can be, especially in smaller teams, the situation one colleague is on holidays, another colleague is now 2 days sick, and something happens. And then you say, oh, I've never done this. I don't know whether I can help, or I don't know how to do it, or can it wait until tomorrow? Okay, depending on how critical it is, it can wait until tomorrow. So if the other person is still sick and the one on holidays is, of course, still on holidays, minimum then now you need to do something. And if you take it in the very beginning, and even if you make a mistake, because you have then guidance, you have then someone who will look into it, or explain you things, better do it right away and not think like, should I do it, and perhaps I should do it first for myself when no one is watching or no one seeing results or whatsoever. It's not a good idea. It's better to be visible, make sure people know who you are and what you're working on,
Mhm.
and take challenges. So depending on the methodology of a company, people anyway know on what you're working on, because you have perhaps your dailies or whatsoever. And also another thing is feedback. Often, if it's not very positive feedback, people take it as critics and then go into defense mode,
Yeah.
instead of looking into it, how can I use this feedback to improve?
Right.
Asking then again quality questions like, um, how can we solve this, or how can I progress here, or whatsoever. Yeah. And that's then a thing regarding uh, learning and also networking. Keep learning and build your internal network. And as mentioned before, to be transparent. So if something goes wrong, not to find any explanations, or thinking how I could move around it, that I'm not fully responsible or so. Make it short and just say so what was going wrong. Reasoning brings no value, not to you, neither to the company.
Mhm.
So for whatever happens, there is no one else results than you. That's why it's so important to ask a lot in the beginning. And if something happens, there is easy questions to ask. How can I make sure it's not going to happen again? Or how to solve this situation now? So there is no explanation needed. Everyone, especially in tech, understands, okay, we have now this error or whatsoever, or something is not working. So now the question is only how we proceed. And also important, step out of this survival mode. Starting a new job is an exciting step in your career, so be excited and enjoy the process.
Hmm.
Then regarding the don't do's, uh, two things a little bit interconnected with each other, like avoid long breaks. So keep breaks short and productive, and that interconnects a little bit with um, keep your phones away. Don't bring your phone to meetings, or keep it visible at your work desk, unless it is clear because you're the single point of contact for a day, or whatsoever. Of course, you need to bring it, because if something happens, you need to respond, but then everyone knows anyway of the team. Or also, if something happened and you wait for a response or whatsoever, so everyone knows about it's a special situation and it has a key priority and not going on meeting. But otherwise, if you come with your phone, doesn't matter whether it's upside down or not, into a meeting, then it's like, okay, I'm obviously not the priority. The phone somehow has it, otherwise it's not here. And then also those who think like, okay, I just take my phone and make breaks or bathroom breaks or whatsoever, and disappear, especially in the first few weeks as the new one. if people start to think like he's often not here, or he's often away, or he's often in phone calls in case people hear you, if you're outside or in the bathroom, not a good idea. Then the
Right.
question is, especially in tech, is what we see he's doing, not his doings. Is he calling, for example, someone to have clues or hints or tips how he should solve something? Yeah. And another thing, trivial one, yeah, but also often if people feel a little bit comfort, it starts avoid gossip, stay professional, and avoid office politics, as well as avoid to talk especially bad about former companies, colleagues, or clients. It's better not to say anything about it. And also important, not to assume. Don't take your past experience as the norm for the new company.
Right.
Ask how it should be done, or how they do it, or what result they want to see. And a little bit interconnected to what I said before, we've tackled challenges. Don't shy away from challenges, because there can be opportunities for your growth. And admit ignorance. So it's okay to not know everything. See it as a learning chance. And also here there is rhetorics how you can easy solve it if you don't know something, or you're not sure about something. Instead of long explanation and putting a story up and around something, you just say something like, I'll get back to you by tomorrow, or I will put it on your email, or whatsoever. So for everyone is known now, okay, it's perhaps more complex, I get it. And we do not need to talk about nonsense. And also here, a little bit interconnected, don't cover mistakes or errors, especially in the first 3 months. You are allowed to do that. Whenever you find yourself in explanation instead of action, it's a kind of lying. So be responsible, be confident, be competent, and use questions like, how can I make sure it's not going to happen again? Isn't this happened? Or how to solve this and this? I don't know how to go further. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, not to isolate yourself, engage with your team and participate in events. And last but not least, network within the company. But that's also a little bit the thing, huh? Don't tell too personal stories right away, because you do not know how people are interconnected in the company and where it's going to. So be careful where you put your trust.
Right. That's very important. Like, I think for the first few months, or like in fact, like a few first 1 year also, I feel like to have that the professional and personal life, really apart from each other, because you never
Correct.
know.
You never know. Correct.
We've heard of this particular term that usually happens in organizations and all of that, which is like the grapevine communication, you know, how it travels. One, if you say A, and it's also like Chinese whisper, like if you say A, that might come up as a whole bad sentence and it reaches out to somebody else. So it
Correct.
does
Correct.
happen.
And you never know in which version as well, and in which context.
Yes, that's very true. And you'll never know from where the message got, incorrectly interpreted, because who did it you won't know, because there's so many people in between, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
that's
Correct.
true. And the points that you made were like very, very, I think, rational, and that's how we should see our first the trial days at an organization. But how can, like, let's say a new employees can start strong, right, as a professional, like how can they start strong in an organization?
Yeah, starting strong is a kind of like creating momentum. So first of all, make use of the time until start and create momentum ahead. So
Yeah.
in the end, it's like opportunities, uh, like, for example, interesting projects occur to those who are prepared. It's not like sometimes people say like, why the new one gets now this new interesting project and I'm here sitting already 3 years. But the point is, if you're prepared and show some knowledge or interest in something, um, it automatically connects people who need to put together a new team. Aha, he's mentioned once this, or he's into that, and the one who is sitting there silent for 3 years and hopes other people see what his skills are, he goes and joins the team. And if ask if there is like a so-called godfather concept, someone who will guide you through this. There is someone
Hello, can you hear me? Hello. Hi, Philip. Can you hear me?
yeah, yeah, I hear you. Have you
Yeah,
been
I
interrupted?
yes, I think there was just some glitch with the internet.
Ah, okay. Uh, so,
Still glitch again.
so uh, then I go perhaps again back a little bit to what I said. Opportunities
We
occur to
were with
those.
you until you said, like, they should be prepared beforehand,
Yeah,
before starting strong, like pre,
yeah,
I guess, ready or something like that.
correct. So if you are opportunities occur often to those who are prepared. Yeah. So if you drop certain things or make yourself visible, and then if someone needs to put together a new team, he remembers that. And if someone is already sitting there for 3 years and wonders why is now the new one getting into a new interesting project and not me, I'm just on the old maintenance of old software or whatsoever. Um, it's often because of that, yeah. Sitting here and no one knows what interests or skills you have, you go unnoticed, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, already when you, while signing the contract, inquiring about the onboarding process is an important thing you can easily find out. For example, is there this so-called godfather concept implemented in the company, where you have for the first few weeks or months someone who will guide you through things, yeah. If
Mm.
this is so, you have already something that gives you also peace of mind, and I can fully concentrate on your strengths. And there it is important to have and set clear personal goals, preferably that align with the company's objectives. And you also can ask ahead, like for materials to study before starting, for example, to understand the company's terms and quality standards, or as we said before, prepare how you will introduce yourself to different stakeholders. It's definitely not enough to say, hi or good morning, I'm John, I'm new here in the software team or in the engineering team or whatsoever. And also what you can do is identify key knowledge areas to study beforehand, especially if you come directly from university or having just a few years of work experience. Then it can be a good approach to broaden your skills. So ask while signing the contract what key knowledge, if it's not yet clear from the interviews, yeah, what key knowledge they are directing to in the future. Or you can look up your future colleagues, what kind of expertise and key skills they have on LinkedIn. And then it does not need to be an expensive certificate. You can start read a book or find something on YouTube or free courses from university online to get an idea, or even a fascination or joy about something. Perhaps it's even something it pops up and out of a sudden you're so fascinated that this is like your thing. And when they are going to, and you're already prepared because you can say something about it, it's now present in your head. You qualify yourself for these interesting new things, yeah. And then, depending on what kind of work, for example, if you're in product management or also sales or pre-sales, so client-facing roles, it's important that you match your wardrobe to the company's style. And for international people, or also people that live further away, it's also something that not everything comes together in the first few months, to inform yourself about whether there are blackboards for flats, or also swaps, or other employees who look for a roommate, or so that you can move and relocate closer, and not having yet everything to relocate from the beginning, and the risk also that perhaps the first 100 days you do not will like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then after start, there is other possibilities how you can create momentum. It's like clarify tasks, expectations, and results. So understand what is expected of you and what successful outcomes look like in your new role. So know what is your task, and have a clarification what is your task, and how it is done. And also, there is always a little bit things that some side projects or small things pop up. So if you volunteer for such projects, so it's actively seek if you're actively seek out projects where you can contribute and showcase your skills and value to the team, that are opportunities as well. And familiarize yourself at early stage with the specific language and terms used in the company, especially qualitative adjectives, to ensure you meet the expected standards. So good in one company or in your perception does not need to be the same good as they want. And the adjectives is a kind of how you perceive it and your interpretation. But here the focus is on what do they want to provide to the clients, yeah, and not what I think is good. And yeah, as said before, we build also a strong start and momentum by asking questions. Never hesitate to ask questions, is essential for learning and shows also engagement in the initiative. And perhaps depending on what kind of role you are, understand the consequences doing or not doing something. Sometimes people have to think like, okay, I can shortcut a procedure because this one is anyway always not needed or not necessary, or it will nothing happen, yeah. So be aware of the implications of performing or neglecting certain tasks and procedures within the company.
Right. That's nice. So that's how you can, have like a solid start, and like how you fit into the company. So everything comes, around that. Now let's also, my last question for you would be, how to handle the feeling of, let's say, if they're unsure or they're stressed. So how can they, handle that feeling when they start a new job, and then still try to, see if they can fit in the company's style of things and all of that. So how can they handle this stress in the very beginning period?
Yeah, how to fit in, or also how to overcome insecurities. Yeah. So fitting in starts, that depends a little bit whether you've done it already before you apply. Actually, with yourself, the better you understand who you are or what you're doing, what's your talents, what you love, the easier it is afterwards kind of to validate whether you fit in. And
Mm-hmm.
also insecurities, or especially fears, do we say first fears, um, when you have a clear goal, your mind is occupied with reaching a goal. If you have like nothing, and nothing gives you kind of like a frame, you automatically your mind wants to occupy with something, and you erase then concerns or thoughts like, will I be accepted, or will I be good enough, or will I fulfill the expectations, or concerns like to get to know a new environment, or regarding, as you just mentioned, yeah, stress reaction cost you a lot of new information, or a lot of new colleagues, procedures, surrounding whatsoever. These kind of things are normal, and yeah, it's overcoming such insecurities is mainly a mindset thing, and also fitting in. When you know who you are, it's possible that you can and what's your goal, yeah, and your talents, then you can use your experience from the first few weeks you make in this new company to validate the company fit with your values and talents. For example, with questions like, are the values aligning? Can you use your talents, or do you feel joy when on the way to work? It's an important thing. When you already think like, okay, I should be already be there, but I can be also a little bit late, or perhaps there will be a rush hour and I will be late as well and have a good excuse, then I can be even more late whatsoever, yeah. Or also, does this job help you to achieve your goals? That's why it's also important to have goals of any kind. And does this company needs your skills, solutions, and results you offer, or are you losing yourself there? So sometimes you start something and it all works, but the point is you could go further. And if this is not possible, then it's like you're there, you make money. If money is your goal, you're fine, but you're losing a little bit yourself, and you lose the challenges, and you kind of like degenerate, yeah?
Yeah.
So energy follows always your focus. That's why it's better to have and know your goals, and um, therefore direct your attention towards opportunities, and then automatically fears silence. And yeah, authenticity, be yourself. It's the most sustainable approach. Authenticity ensures the greatest resonance with others. Pretending to be someone you are not is unsustainable and will inevitably lead to negative effects. And yeah, shift your focus to the excitement and intrigue of new experience. Fear tend to overwhelm those who lack direction. So set clear goals, whether they are financial, educational, personal development, or change orientated. Channel your energy towards achieving these objectives and let them guide you past your fears.
Right.
Yeah, and perhaps one last thing. Often it happens to people, not only new ones, but in general. Don't
Mm-hmm.
get distracted by what others are doing. Don't look to the sides. Don't compare. Keep your gaze fixed on your goals and move steadily towards them.
Right. That's very, very important. And well, I guess this has been very, very insightful and valuable, Philip. Thank you so much. But, unfortunately, we do have time constraints and everything, which is why we have to bring today's session to an end. But however, we'll always come back in the future with, you know, many more sessions with many more interesting topics. But before we wrap this session up, do you have anything that you'd like to advise from your end to our viewers?
Yeah, so biggest advices are like have goals, ask questions, and be visible and transparent. Don't try to hide things. So these three things, and especially the two questions that help you go through a lot of things, is like how can we make sure, or how to solve da da da. These two things, yeah. These two questions and the three things.
Right. So I think it's not always about whether you are fit for an organization. It's also about if the organization is fit for you or not. So be
Correct.
clear on that point. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. And also a quick update: if you are looking forward to build your career in tech industry, we have multiple events coming up, physical and virtual. So you can always go to our website techjobsfair.com and check out the details. And if you are a job seeker, then you can get your ticket for free as well. Well, thank you so much again, and until next time, take care and have a great day. Thank you so much, Philip, for joining us. It was pleasure having you here and hearing your insights and invaluable knowledge. Thank you so much.
Tripti, first of all, I'm filled with gratitude for the opportunity to share my thoughts and experience again with such a vibrant community. So, if anyone's mind is buzzing with questions, or if anyone is eager to continue this conversation, I warmly invite everyone to connect and comment. You can find me also on LinkedIn or visit my personal website at philiptangstman.com to exchange ideas and forge new paths. Thanks again for taking part, and bye bye.
Bye bye.